Around 20,000 years ago, the Earth was at the peak of the last glacial maximum. Millions of cubic kilometers of ice covered North America, Northern Europe, and parts of Asia. So much water was locked in these massive ice sheets that global sea levels were about 120 meters lower than today. As a result, the map of the world looked nothing like the one we know now. Land that is now far beneath the ocean's surface once stretched out as plains, sandbars, marshes, and mangrove forests. In Southeast Asia, most of the Sunda Shelf connected the mainland to the great islands of Borneo, Sumatra, and Java, forming a continuous landmass the size of Western Europe. In the northern Pacific, Beringia linked Siberia and Alaska, a dry corridor hundreds of kilometers wide for animals and humans to cross. In Europe, Doggerland spanned from the present-day coast of Britain to the Netherlands and Denmark, a fertile coastal grassland. The Ice Age shorelines were unlike those of today. With lower sea levels, the intertidal zones and continental shelves extended for tens of kilometers, creating resource-rich strips of land. The climate there was often milder than inland areas, thanks to the moderating influence of the ocean. Winters less severe, summers cooler, humidity more stable. When the interior lands could be barren, frozen, or ice-covered, these coastal zones became ideal refuges. Abundant food was the key attraction. The tides brought vast numbers of marine creatures into the shallows: fish, crabs, shrimp, clams, oysters, and mollusks. River mouths and coastal lagoons gathered migratory birds and marine mammals, offering meat, fat, and hides. Coastal plants such as seaweed and salt-tolerant grasses provided rare nutrients, especially minerals and iodine, unavailable deep inland. These conditions made Ice Age coasts gold zones for life. Here, hunter-gatherer communities could find reliable year-round food supplies and favorable environments for contact and exchange. Continuous stretches of coastline acted as travel corridors, allowing people to move, share technology, and maintain links between distant groups. From an archaeological perspective, many major migrations of modern humans may have been directly tied to these Ice Age coasts. Some researchers suggest Homo sapiens used coastal highways to travel along Asia to Australia about 50,000 to 60,000 years ago, and down the Pacific coast of the Americas around 16,000 years ago. Journeys that would have been far harder without broad, resource-rich shorelines. Yet, because these lands are now submerged, most direct evidence of Ice Age coastal life lies hidden beneath the sea. Reconstructing the ancient map requires combining multiple scientific disciplines: underwater archaeology, marine geology, paleoecology, and remote sensing technology. Marine sediment cores, drilling samples, and sonar mapping reveal ancient river channels, former coastlines, and traces of drowned settlements. When these data are pieced together, a coherent picture emerges. During the Ice Age, the coasts were among the most important centers of human life, economic and social hubs for thousands of communities. But to fully understand their role, we must look closely at how humans exploited them. Food was not always easy to obtain, and abundance demanded intelligent strategies, specialized tools, and knowledge passed down through generations. Part 2: The Prehistoric Coastal Feast. The Ice Age shoreline was a rare natural pantry where nutrients from both sea and land converged. For prehistoric humans, it was a perpetual banquet table, replenished by tides, migrations, and the richness of coastal ecosystems. The main food sources came from the shallow seas and intertidal zones. Fish were a staple, easily caught when trapped in pools as the tide receded. Clams, oysters, mussels, and other shellfish could be gathered by hand or pried from rocks with simple tools. Crabs, shrimp, and other crustaceans were trapped in rock crevices or natural tidal pools. Seaweed and marine algae provided not only precious iodine, but also fiber and minerals, eaten fresh or dried for storage. Seabirds and their eggs added protein and fat, while seal or beached whale blubber supplied concentrated energy in the cold season. To make the most of these resources, humans developed a range of tools and techniques adapted to coastal life. Early nets, woven from plant fibers or animal sinew, allowed group fishing. Baskets made from reeds, seagrass, or vines were used to carry and strain shellfish. Bone or antler points served as spears for fish or shrimp. A common method, rock pooling, involved using natural tide pools to concentrate fish and crustaceans, making them easy to collect. In some regions, people built crescent-shaped stone traps along the shore. Fish could enter with the rising tide, but not escape when the water receded. Archaeological evidence confirms the heavy reliance on marine resources. At Klazi's River Cave in South Africa, sediment layers containing shells, fish bones, and bone tools date back over 100,000 years, showing that Homo sapiens systematically exploited the sea from an early stage. In Jomon period Japan, massive shell middens hold thousands of shell fragments, fish bones, and traces of nets, proving the existence of a well-developed coastal economy lasting millennia. Such findings suggest that coastal living was not a short-term adaptation. Beyond food, the sea provided raw materials for tools and ornaments. Shells were shaped into points, fishhooks or beads. Large fish bones and shark teeth became knives or spear tips. These items were not only practical but also symbolic, signifying skill, identity, and social status. However, coastal life was not simply a matter of gathering and eating. Long-term survival required a deep understanding of the ocean's rhythms, fish spawning seasons, seabird migration cycles, tidal shifts, and changing weather patterns. This knowledge was accumulated and transmitted across generations, becoming an integral part of each community's cultural heritage. Part 3: Fishing Villages and the Coastal Kingdoms. Ice Age coastal communities were not merely temporary camps. Archaeology shows that many coastal sites were revisited over generations, leaving evidence of organization and division of labor. The basic layout often included shelters made of wood, bone, and animal hide, built near the shore and sturdy enough to withstand sea winds. Beside them stood storage areas for dried fish or salted seal meat, preserved through smoking, sun-drying, or burial in cool sand pits. Near the living spaces were seafood processing areas, with piles of shells, scattered fish bones, and hearths blackened by smoke. These traces indicate that a diet rich in marine food was maintained year-round, not just seasonally. Coastal life also fostered exchange networks with inland communities. Coastal groups could supply salt, dried fish, seal oil, and shells, goods rare inland. In return, they obtained flint, obsidian, thick animal hides, or timber from distant forests. These exchanges were not just about goods, but also about the spread of techniques and ideas, enriching the material culture of both sides. Artifacts bear witness to these interactions. At many coastal sites, archaeologists have found obsidian spear points originating hundreds of kilometers inland, alongside shell ornaments discovered in highland areas. This proves the existence of wide and stable connections rather than incidental contact. Coastal cultures had distinctive traits. Rituals often centered on the arrival of seasonal fish runs or major hunting events. Large fire pits and shell-decorated objects suggest gatherings that could have reinforced alliances between groups. Shells were drilled and strung into necklaces, sometimes dyed with red or black minerals, serving both as adornment and group identifiers. The idea of a coastal kingdom does not refer to a monarchy, but to a network of shoreline communities linked by resource exchange, intermarriage, and shared rituals. In an Ice Age environment where resources shifted seasonally and yearly, Such networks were collective survival mechanisms. One group could rely on another during fish shortages or after storms destroyed settlements. These kingdoms survived through a delicate balance between resource use and environmental stewardship. Knowledge of fish spawning cycles, seabird nesting grounds, and marine mammal migration routes was widely shared and followed like unwritten law. Breaking these rules could severely damage food supplies and threaten the entire network. Thus, Ice Age coasts were not just ecological zones, but also social landscapes, places where humans built community structures, sustained trade relationships, and developed distinctive cultural symbols. The remnants buried under sediment and shell layers tell stories not only about food, but also about how humans organized collective life in a changing environment. Part 4. When the ice melted and the sea rose. Between about 12,000 and 7,000 years ago, the Earth underwent a major climate shift. The end of the last ice age triggered rapid, worldwide melting of glaciers. The colossal ice sheets of North America and Northern Europe, once kilometers thick, began to retreat. The released meltwater poured into the oceans, raising global sea levels by over a meter per century, so quickly that within just a few generations, shorelines could retreat several kilometers inland. The result was the erasure of coastal lands that had been home to thousands of communities. In Northern Europe, Doggerland, a vast plain linking Britain to mainland Europe, vanished beneath the North Sea. In Southeast Asia, the Sunda Shelf, once connecting Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia, was swallowed by the sea, giving rise to today's island chains. In North America, extensive coastal plains in Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, and along the Pacific coast were permanently lost. Underwater archaeology has recorded clear evidence of these vanished lands. Sonar mapping and seabed surveys reveal ancient river networks, freshwater lakes, and valleys now lying tens of meters underwater. In some areas, divers and remotely operated vehicles (ROVs) have found stone tools, pottery fragments, animal bones, and even stone foundations, remnants of settlements abandoned as the sea advanced. Off the coasts of Israel and Japan, stone fish traps and submerged constructions hint that people continued to adapt and exploit coastal environments until the very end. The loss of coastal lands meant more than losing territory. It meant losing livelihoods. Fishing grounds, shellfish beds, lagoons, and river mouths, economic centers of these communities were drowned, forcing people to find new food sources. Many groups had to migrate inland, competing with already established populations. This sudden redistribution of people often led to conflicts over territory, water, and hunting grounds. Mass migrations also reshaped social structures. Small groups might merge for protection of resources, or split apart when scarcity became too great. The coastal exchange networks that had sustained the prosperity of the coastal kingdoms were disrupted or redirected inland. Fishing techniques, seafood preservation methods, and marine-related rituals declined as the environment changed. Yet the story of these lands did not end with their disappearance. Part of their memory survived through myths and legends. Cultures from Europe, Asia, and the Americas all tell stories of great floods or lands swallowed by the sea. These narratives, though wrapped in myth, may reflect collective memories of post-Ice Age sea level rise. Part 5. Legacy Beneath the Waves. Studying the vanished Ice Age coastlines is one of the greatest challenges in modern archaeology. Unlike terrestrial sites, most evidence of prehistoric coastal life lies deep under salt water, hidden for thousands of years. Access requires advanced technology and interdisciplinary collaboration. Alongside scientific data, the legacy of lost coasts endures in human culture. Myths and legends, though told through symbolic language, often align with geological and archaeological evidence. Tales of Atlantis in ancient Greece, Lemuria in the Indian Ocean, or great flood narratives from Mesopotamia, India, Southeast Asia, and the Americas may have roots in collective memories of post-Ice Age sea rise. even with embellishment. These stories remain historical fragments reflecting the profound impact of environmental change on human communities. The significance of studying ancient coasts goes beyond reconstructing Ice Age maps. Coasts, with their rich resources and stable conditions compared to the interior, may have been cradles of major human advancements. Fishing and food preservation techniques, nutrient-rich diets that fueled brain development, exchange networks for goods and ideas, and rituals that bound communities together. These factors laid the groundwork for more complex social structures in later history. Excavating and analyzing submerged sites also holds a warning for the present. Sea levels are rising again due to modern climate change, and the pace is accelerating. Many of today's densely populated coastal areas, from the Nile Delta and Mekong Delta to major global cities, face significant threats in the coming centuries. The story of the lost Ice Age coasts shows that when environments change, humans must adapt, migrate, or face resource conflict. History demonstrates that such shifts can unfold far faster than societies can respond. The connection between past and present offers a clear message. Coastal environmental change is not merely a matter of geography. It is a matter of survival. Understanding how our ancestors coped with rising seas not only helps us reconstruct history, but also equips us with lessons for facing similar challenges in the future.